Laipply podcast.
That he was going to exact vengeance.
You still don't understand how you lost. He ran on immigration.
Don't say me. I'm not a Democrat.
He ran on immigration.
I'm a journalist.
He ran on inflation.
I'm not here paid to represent
one of the many things he ran on in addition.
There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers.
Thank you so much for having me. I think Republicans should respond to it based on the facts. And if you look at the facts of what's happening here and what happened earlier on, there was a lot of consternation, a lot of noise being created around tariffs because it's something that our presidents of the United States haven't had as far as their economic agenda. Donald Trump has, and all of the gloom and doom that was predicted as far as the tariffs are concerned, they have not been realized. So I think that you've seen what the markets are saying. You know, you have the great numbers that you just were talking about here. Until people actually feel the impact of whatever this gloom and doom scenario is, that's when it'll probably hurt Donald Trump. But at this point, Donald Trump's tariff policy seems to be working. And I think it's very difficult for Democrats to actually give him credit for that. Talk about what the facts are, and the facts are it's working.
The pain hasn't been, you said the pain hasn't been realized yet. And the timing of when that's really going to start hitting consumers could be a real problem depending on what it is and how close you get to a midterm election.
Thanks, so.
Investigate the newly declassified documents like ever.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing. I have great respect for Tulsi and the documents they found on President Obama. Frankly, it was an Obama thing, but it was the people that worked under him also working with him. And no, it's a very, very serious thing. Thank you very much.
And it does appear that a couple of these figures may have committed perjury. I think the most vulnerable may be Brennan, who's like a 30-point buck now out in the open. I mean, this stuff goes directly to information that he gave to Congress. It seems to be in contradiction. And so there are real questions here. I mean, people talk about, well, you can't charge Obama. That's very likely the case. He's probably protected. But these individuals, whether it's Comey or Brennan, are not protected from perjury charges if the statute of limitations has not run. They are more likely to be called again to repeat prior testimony.
Nobody knew there'd be a pandemic or an epidemic of this proportion.
There may and likely will come a time in which we have both an airborne disease that is deadly. And in order for us to deal with that effectively, we have to put in place an infrastructure, not just here at home, but globally, that allows us to see it quickly, isolate it quickly, respond to it quickly. So that if and when a new strain of flu like the Spanish flu crops up 5 years from now or a decade from now, we've made the investment and we're further along to be able to catch it. It is a smart investment for us to make. It's not just insurance, it is knowing that down the road we're going to continue to have problems like this, particularly in a globalized world.
Gates, would you like to condemn Microsoft's Azure program for leaking sensitive classified information to the CCP? Are you pro-CCP, Mr. Gates? I understand your foundation owns a lot of Microsoft shares now, and your Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has heavily financed and is financially connected to the CCP. So is that why you're not answering the questions about government's Microsoft's Azure program, Mr. Gates? Are you sure you don't want to condemn them for leaking classified information from our U.S. military? One more time, Mr. Gates, would you like to condemn Microsoft's government Azure program for leaking classified information to the CCP? No? Okay.
It's hard for me to talk about this because I love 60 Minutes so much, and I know so many people there who've done such great work. But you look at 60 Minutes goes and does a story with Bill Gates, which is basically, you know, it's it's praise poetry is all that it is. There's no journalism in it. They're not challenging Bill Gates on any of the girls in India, for example, and being sanctioned by the Indian parliament because you rendered so many young Indian girls infertile with your vaccines, or the disabled kids in Sudan that have been completely and utterly abandoned by you after they were crippled, normal, healthy kids who were crippled because of your vaccines that you just walk away from. And if you're not, so of course the media steps in and they elevate, they carry the narrative, the false narrative, and they elevate these people and they give them a crown, they crown them, right? And then they become untouchable. You're not allowed to challenge Bill Gates on the man who said that the greatest return on any investment he ever made was vaccines, because the return on investment, the ROE, was so high. It dwarfed everything else. Yes, and nobody ever challenged him on it. And even through COVID, they allowed him to get away with what he did. So they created this, and then you have the PR firms that prop this up, right? And you have the lobbyists that have their part in government. And then you have now these organizations that put paid articles, paid media into place. And then you have, of course, where it becomes really sinister and devastating for people is when it extends into the Department of Justice.
Elon Musk just called out Bill Gates over his USAID comments.
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he frequented Jeffrey Epstein?
Okay, well, he said he regrets those, and he spent a lot of his own money on philanthropy around the world over the years. Have you looked at the data to check if he might be right that the cuts to USAID might cost millions of lives?
Yes. I'd like him to show us any evidence whatsoever that is true or it's false. What we find is an enormous amount of fraud and graft.
Okay, let me put this example
very
to you.
little of it actually gets to the kids, if anything at all.
Okay.
The president passed away today, Hulk Hogan, dead at 71. Do you have a favorite Hulk Hogan memory?
I love Hulk Hogan. I had an Italian Mastiff dog, 200 pounds, his name, Hulk Hogan.
Sir,
All right, good to see everybody Thursday night, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing good. As always, be blessed in the mighty name of Jesus. Maligator is on. Mike Griffith is on. Christopher Arnott is on. Big Scott 1 is on. Scooter Magruder is on. Skunk 71 is on. The producer, Aaron, is on. USA Abby Girl is on. The other producer, Will Gilbert, is on. Prairworks 2 is on. Peg McGroin is on. JD Joy is on. USA Abby Girl is on. Guitar Glenn is on. Robin Aroni is on. D9597 is on. One Fast Rob is on. Big Scott 1 is on. Judy Anita is on. Salty Gonads is on. Agravane is on. Gloyd Shaw's on. Those Jesus People is on. Let me see here. Hanslick Donovan is on. Big Scott 1 is on. Granite 2468 is on. K4 VMS is on. Let me see here. Jules 21 Hours is on. Laura Jean Lynn is on. General Plowman is on. Veronica 18201 is on. Uncle Wally is on. Sheila K is on. Big Jim Go Blue is on. Snag Dog is on. Sunwoo 45 is on. Jim Brody is on. Let me see here. Scrolling down. Steffa Toms is on. Scrolling down. Bo Stone Way is on. Keeper 1376 is on. Milwaukee James is on. Steffa Toms is on. If I say your name twice, it's just because I'm not sure whether I said it or not, so I want to say it again. Total G Word is on. Leon Fish Puppy is on. Let me see here. Richard Perry is on. Biggie 2926 is on. Scrolling down here. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. D-Now 59 is on. Let me see here. Hector Antonio is on. PD Frank is on. See if I skipped anybody. That's hitting down to the bottom. Then one last one. Salty Reese's Cup is on. There we go. There's a new one. All right. Love you guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. Title of the show tonight, Trump continues just to press on in the midst of all of this. Yeah, again, just touting my own. I'll let off of this. Don't worry. I'll let off of it at some point, but not yet. I'm having fun with it. You might be getting sick of it, but I'm having fun with it. But you know what? Even notice again, Aaron, give me my props. You know what a great ex-boyfriend I am.
Absolutely.
I mean, a great ex-husband. I mean, I'm great. I'm touting my ex-spouse. You know, and how great they are and everything else because Trump banished me from being a supporter. But whatever. I'm still gonna support whatever he does without being a supporter. I guess whenever he does stuff that's right, which by the way is 90% of the time because he is still, even though he's kicked me out of being his follower. He's still the greatest president of my lifetime. So he continues to press forward, doing great things, which we're going to illustrate tonight. I got that. Everybody know what the Biden memoir sold for? Where do you find that out? Shifty shifts, problems. And then I am going to finally get to the California fires, hopefully. And then I got a whole vaccine expose that I've been trying to get to for a month. But anyway, today's kind of a slow news day, so maybe, we get RIP, the great Hulk Hogan. Post-game is a total tribute to him. If you want to stick around for that, it's awesome. But anyway, so let's get into what Trump is accomplishing. First, credit Dan Bongino. Aaron, can you side-by-side that for me just so I can give this some context, just the pick. So just those of you that remember, everybody showed this viral video, a guy throwing, I believe it's like, large rocks at ICE vehicles as they're driving by. This is a Dan Bongino vehicle. You may remember, see the guy in the black right there standing in the median. His name is El Pidio Reyna, a subject who allegedly threw rocks at federal officers during immigration operations in California. We got him. He was arrested today at the U.S.-Mexico border. Play it for me. So, you know what? Each one of those rocks that they threw is what's called throwing a deadly missile. They may call it something else in the state of California. But by the way, it's not a California charge. It's a federal charge. So that guy's going to spend the rest of his life in federal prison. Isn't that great? And that's exactly what he deserves to get. Right there. And everybody can learn as he stands in the median with his motorcycle helmet on. He can now go to prison for the rest of his life, just like the people who firebombed Tesla dealerships. They're going to spend the rest of their life in federal prison, just like all those that are involved in the collusion hoax. And listen, I have got a heavy-duty, wonky article from the Federalist that I hope you'll let me get through. Some of you will probably bail on me because there won't be any videos, and I won't be able to yell and scream. Not the most exciting things, but this is stuff exclusively released on the collusion hoax to the Federalist. All right, let's go to the next one. Newsmax tweet. Breaking news. The Justice Department sued New York City and Mayor is currently suing sued New York City Mayor Eric Adams on Thursday, alleging that its sanctuary policies, and that's the guy that Donald Trump has already pardoned. So again, going along with the precepts of this clown world, which Aaron and I had a half an hour, maybe it was an hour-long conversation about last night, how nothing makes any sense and people act in asinine fashions with no justification whatsoever. I mean, there's how do you explain people's behavior? You just flat out can't. You just can't explain people's behavior. Where just like simple reaping and sowing. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever man sows, that shall he also reap. And if you come to Foundation Church, you'll hear this all the time. If there's no evidence that you're right, guess what? You're not. You're not right. If you why do I have no money? Because either you don't work or you don't save. It's as simple as that. It's really not hard. It really isn't. I'm not talking about, as always, extreme examples of something happened and you had to spend all your money for a mom's heart surgery or something. Don't use those extreme examples. You know what I'm talking about. And then people will still believe wholeheartedly that they're right when there's no evidence at all that they're ever right. It just absolutely blows my mind. And Eric Adams, Donald Trump pardons him. And again, this would be going on right now. Nothing changes at the DOJ as far as charges and trials and anything else. Nothing changes when the administration changes unless you get a presidential pardon, unless the DOJ decides not to press charges anymore. He was being charged with campaign finance violations. Remember, he was going to go meet with Joe Biden. He's flying from NYC to D.C. to meet with Joe Biden to discuss immigration policies because New York was spending $11 billion a month on illegals. That wasn't that much. But anyway, I don't remember what it was. I can't remember what it was, but it was a crap ton of money. May have been 11 million. I don't remember. It was this huge, that 11 billion is what they spent in total. But anyway, they were getting overrun. And, you had Abbott, and DeSantis bussing them up to New York and everything else. So they're being overrun. And on his flight to D.C., the FBI went and raided his campaign director, his campaign director's house, and arrested him or her for campaign finance violations. Same thing they charged Donald Trump with in the same district, NDNY, Southern District of New York. So same tactics over and over again, because you can basically go into anybody's finances and find a crime. Imagine if the Biden finances were an open book to all of us. You can again, it's the Stalin principle of don't investigate the crime, investigate the man to find the crime. But anyway, so while he's on the plane, his own campaign director, campaign director's home is being raided, and the campaign director's being arrested. Then they charge that he basically comes right back. I don't think he ever even met with Biden. He may have met with him briefly, and then he comes back, and then he gets criminally charged. And then Donald Trump could see that this was simply a misuse of the DOJ, a political use of the DOJ, weaponization of the DOJ against his political opponents. And Eric Adams, New York Mayor, Eric Adams is your political opponent. But that shows you how the left is. And if you're a leftist and you feel very comfortable under the shelter of the leftist wing because you yourself are a leftist and you don't believe any of your totalitarian ways are ever going to turn on you, then all you need to do is look at the story of Eric Adams. But even in that, Trump comes in and pardons him or just stops the case, whatever it was. I don't know if he pardoned him or just dropped. I think they just dropped all the charges against him. So they dropped all the charges against him, nothing to pardon yet because they hadn't been convicted. So I think they just dropped all the charges. And in his gratefulness, again, this is what I'm talking about. I don't understand people. I really don't. In his gratefulness, he still considers New York City to be a sanctuary city. So now he is going to be sued by the person who benefited him, which is exactly what Trump should do. This is a big win for Trump. This is what Chicago needs. This is what sanctuary states like Tampon Tim's Minnesota, J.B. Fatboy Pritzker's Illinois, Gavin Greasy-haired Newsom's California. That's what they all need. They all need to be sued into oblivion. Breaking news, Justice Department sued New York City and Mayor Eric Adams on Thursday, alleging that his sanctuary policies are unconstitutional. How could they not be? How can they be anything but unconstitutional? How could they be constitutional when they aren't following the Constitution? I mean, again, if you and I do anything that breaches the Constitution, you and I will spend the rest of our life in federal prison. But you have J.B. Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, New York, and before Brandon Johnson, Lori Lightfoot, all in Chicago. New York, you have Eric Adams in New York, Karen Bass in L.A. These are all sanctuary cities. Blatantly, and again, what's really irritating about this, for $37 trillion in debt, they are blatantly blowing off federal law. Just blowing it off. And again, if you and I decide to have, we're going to be an abortion sanctuary. Like nobody can get an abortion in Sarasota County, Florida, where I'm sitting right now. Nobody can get an abortion. That's it. From the second of conception, nobody gets an abortion. From the second of conception till birth, nobody gets an abortion. We consider it a abortion-free zone, a abortion sanctuary, right? Or I guess it would be like the opposite, a birth sanctuary. You and I go to federal prison for that. But yet they can have a sanctuary state and a sanctuary city where they are harboring rapists and murderers that rape 15-year-old girls, murder 15-year-old girls, end up with 12-year-old girls tied, their legs tied, their hands bound, and they're raped for 6 hours under a bridge and left for dead and killed and dead. And Democrats, that's what it means to be a Democrat in 2025. You want to keep those perpetrators in the United States of America, and so I guess does Eric Adams, because he's done nothing to reverse the sanctuary status, which nobody grants you sanctuary status except yourself. That'd be like me saying Tom Laipply's the podcaster of the year. Aaron, do you know that? Yeah. I'm the podcaster of the year. Oh, yeah. Who gave you that award? I did.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a podcaster of the year.
Yeah.
And you know who voted on it? Me, Will, and Aaron.
Yep.
And I won.
It wasn't even close.
It wasn't close. It was unanimous.
Yeah.
It was unanimous. Will voted for me. Aaron voted for me. And Will works for me part time. Aaron works for me full time. Both of them work for me. But that has nothing to do with it.
No.
I mean, doesn't have anything to do with it. And again, here you have these people. They just give themselves sanctuary status. You're not giving anything. You know, there's like federal accreditations and things like that that have statutory basis. There's nothing in sanctuary city. They just deem themselves to be immune from federal law. Well, now they're being held accountable, and every single one of them, every governor and every mayor needs to be sued into political and even financial oblivion if they're not going to be constitutional in nature, which obviously they are not. All right, let's go to the next one. So good news on the Trump front. Trump is great. He really is. I don't know why he decided to just absolutely kick himself in the nads with the Epstein thing. Just don't say anything. I wish he wouldn't have. I wish I didn't spend a week on it, but I had to. He made me do it. All right, so rapid response 47. Let's go to the border. ICE arrests 243 illegals. Play it for me.
ICE says they arrested 243 migrants in the Denver metro area as a part of more than a week-long operation. They say it happened between July 12th and the 20th.
There's the numbers right there. 243 illegals in Denver in a week-long operation. 243. Hey, Aaron, can you pull up all those headlines from the Biden administration?
Let me see. Hang on.
He's doing it. He's looking them up right now. He's looking them up.
Nothing.
There's nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. Epstein flight log check.
Nope. Nope.
Okay. Just making sure. Okay. We're on a 6-month streak on that. So good. But anyway, we can do this one. For Biden's foreign investment into our economy.
Nope.
Nothing. Okay. I'm just checking. Okay. So anyway, so there we go. So look at these numbers. I mean, again, this is a week-long operation in Denver, Colorado. This is a big deal. What is Denver, by the way? It's a sanctuary city. There it is. So, but it didn't matter because Tom Holman went and took care of business anyway. Let's go to the next one. I still think are we in the border? No, we're in the border. No, we're not in the border. All right, we're in Ukraine. I meant to keep the border together. I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, Disclosed TV, just in, Trump State Department, here's the bad news. Okay, I mean, again, good with the bad, right? Good jilted lover, right, Aaron?
Yep.
Good jilted lover.
Yep.
Good with the bad. Good with the bad. Even Trump is the greatest president of my lifetime, including Reagan. Just in, Trump State Department greenlights $322 million. This sounds very eerily familiar to the last administration. $322 million arms deals for Ukraine, including Hawk-Phase 3 missiles systems, and Bradley, Will just groaned, the former artilleryman out of the Marines, and Bradley armored vehicles. That's not good news. Okay? Well, why are you like we and I know this isn't the people that are watching this podcast. So believe me, a lot of times when I'm yelling at people, I'm not yelling at you, but I'm not going to apologize for yelling because I'm always going to yell.
True.
It is. It's never going to change. If you're not going to change, just don't act like you're ever going to change. And then, by the way, I don't want to change. It reminds me of that scene. Remember in Heat, the movie Heat, where you had De Niro and Pacino meeting together, and they said, "I'm not going to change. I don't want to change either." One was a career criminal. One was a career cop. But anyway, so I'm not yelling at those of you that are already red pill, but we have no business in this Slavic conflict. We didn't have business in it 3 years ago. We had no business in COVID. So you don't do it. But you know what? There's a way that seems right. Yeah, you know what the Bible says about a way that seems right? It's Proverbs 14:12. There's a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. We are $37 trillion in debt. And now we're going to ship 322 million monopoly money printed, Jerome Powell printed dollars to the Ukraine. That's what we're going to do. It doesn't matter. Some of you are like, we're not sending them money. We're sending weapons. First of all, we are sending them money. We don't ship them weapons on a ship. Does anybody believe that? We don't do that. We give them the money and they buy the weapons. It's as simple as that. Or it's through various other entities to buy the weapons, which, by the way, ends up turning out exactly as the Zelensky interview, I believe it was 60 Minutes, where he illustrated, I have not received the $177 billion. I've only received 77. He was right. Because 100 billion went into the wind. To the, what? What can anybody guess? Oh, the NGOs that facilitate the money out of the goodness of their hearts that are fully staffed by only Democrats as they enrich themselves off the military and industrial complex and foreign wars. See, and that's really what the world's all about. And by the way, it was the same way in World War I. Same thing in World War II. Yes, there's heroes. People like Will who actually fought in wars. They are heroes. The people that caused the wars are demonic idiots. Never needed to be a World War I or a World War II. None of those things ever really needed to happen. And right now we're on the precipice of World War III because we're involved in a Slavic conflict that has nothing to do with us. It's over the Donbass region and the 2 breakout provinces, which if you watch this podcast all the time, you already have it memorized about what I'm about to say, which is Luhansk and Donetsk, which want to be in Russia. Aaron, make it make sense to me.
I can't.
That's what we were talking about for an hour last night.
Yep.
I mean, how do you, if you know that you're speaking at EC, you know that you are, then why are you doing it? Why in the world would you have Luhansk and Donetsk calling up Putin and saying, annex us, just like Crimea did? Then why aren't we letting them annex into the country that they already speak the language? They are all Russian speaking. They are being habitually attacked by Ukraine itself. We're actually allowing them to continually be bombarded. Zelensky likes that they're being hammered by Russia. That's what remember, they were these armaments that we're sending them. Of course, they're probably named different things back in 2014, since that was 11 years ago, and the technology, of course, is through the roof now. But these same Hawk Phase 3 missiles were being used by Ukraine to bomb Ukraine in 2014. You had the Azov Battalion, the Nazi battalion. These are not the skinhead pansy boy Nazis in America. You know, the Patriot Front morons, you know, which we all know are feds. These are real heritage going back to the late 1930s Nazis. Real Nazis. Again, and I know you've heard this before if you watch this podcast, but there is only 2 countries in the world that said, you know what, we are not going to publicly denounce Nazism from the UN floor. We'll publicly outlaw Nazism from ever existing in the world again as a government. There's only 2 countries that said we are not going to jump onto that platform. We are not going to jump onto whatever they call it, UN Charter. Only 2. That would be us and the Ukraine. So now we're funding the Azov Battalion again. Very strange, isn't it? It's very, very strange. It's very, very odd. Does anybody find that to be odd? So here we are sending another, just like every week. I could have done this from, I believe the Ukraine war started, February of 2022. So we could have, Aaron and I, Will, we could have every week. Not every week. Every night. It wouldn't have been every night, but I'll just keep with every week. Every week, put out a list of how much money Joe Biden sent to the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And here we are again.
Yep.
And this is what ticks me off. Is this what we were promised? This is what I voted for? I thought we were going to get change. And you're like, Tom, you're talking about, I know, but you know what? I'm not going to, listen, if you want to be somebody, and again, if this isn't you, then don't be offended by it. You know, I don't usually try not to offend people. And I'm not really, if somebody, you can be offended, then you got your own problems. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to be somebody who, when I see Trump, I'm like, man, look at those boots and I can't wait to lick them. Look at that butt. I just can't wait to kiss it. No, you know what? Does anybody treat you like that? Does your wife even treat you like that? Do your kids even treat you like that? If I act like a fool, my own kids will tell me. Aaron will tell me. Whatever it is, that people will tell me. My staff will tell me. My wife most certainly will tell me. And most importantly, Jesus will tell me, via the Holy Ghost, will tell me you're acting like a fool. Amen. So you know what? We need to just go ahead and say, you know what? Trump is being foolish here. Why are we involving ourselves with another $322 million worth of military investment into a war that will never be won? And Trump was just complaining a month ago about 5,000 people a week dying in this war. Is this going to help that to stop? Leave it alone. It's not our conflict. Iran, Iraq was not our conflict. Gaza, Israel, not our conflict. Iran versus Israel, not our conflict, because the moment that we took out Iran's facilities in a very successful military strike that I'm totally and completely against, but a success is success. You speak the truth no matter whether you like it or not. And believe me, I want it, once the military strike is launched, I want it to succeed because I don't want our soldiers to die. But I was totally against the strike. Doesn't mean I want the strike to fail then, because I don't want our soldiers to die, because they're simply following orders. Ignorant, stupid orders, but yet orders. But anyway, right after that was done, Israel said, well, you know, Pakistan has nuclear weapons too. Yeah, it's never going to stop. You're never going to satiate the bloodthirsty. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen here. You know what Ukrainians and Russians do? Do you know what they do, Aaron? You don't have to answer. You know what they do? I like to, because I can kind of see Aaron in my peripheral. You know what they like to do? They like to fight.
Yeah.
You know what you let them do?
Fight.
Let them fight.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? If you're driving down the road and you see two male alligators fighting, you jump in the middle of that? I'm out. I'm out. One of them's going to die. I'm going to save their life? No, I'm done. I'm out. It's not my war. That's their war. They want female alligators. It's got nothing to do with Tom Laipply. Tom Laipply drives right by in his vehicle. Oh, no, I won't drive by. I'll probably watch that. Yeah. Aaron, you go.
Oh, I was going to say, you don't like jump out and intervene with them and yell America first.
Yeah, I don't jump out. I'm like grabbing a hold of them. I grab a hold of their mouth, you know. A YouTube video with me getting my nuts bit off. No, I'm not. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm out. I'm out. Hey, look what happened to that pastor. No, I'm good. All right, let's go to the next one. Brief little Epstein thing here. Ghislaine Maxwell did her interview. Answered all the questions truthfully during the DOJ interview, her attorney says. Now, we don't know if that's true or not, but there's been no negative information coming from DOJ. Ms. Maxwell answered every single question her attorney, David Marcus, said. We will find out what sort of impact it has, but it happened today, just so everybody knows. Another Trump win. That's what you do. I'm not gonna belabor this, but why do the week of idiocy? Why? When you're going to go interview her anyway. Why do the week of idiocy when you're going to go get those court records from Epstein anyway? Where the truth is. Because there is no client list, because it's been deleted by Bill Barr, whose dad introduced Epstein into the realm that he ended up being in. It's been deleted by the Biden administration. Like, well, Trump had it too. Trump didn't even know about it. I mean, Trump's first administration would have been like all of our first administrations. He was never part of D.C. He didn't know everybody there was a dirt rat. He didn't know that. I mean, every single person there, Republican or Democrat, is in fact a dirt rat. He didn't know that. So he didn't even know about the Epstein situation. He didn't know about it. He didn't know about the Epstein flight log or client list or anything else. He didn't know. That's why he didn't do anything about it. And believe me, if I thought he knew, I'd say it. He didn't know anything about it. So he didn't know about many other things. And the things that he did know, he's like, you know what? They screwed up, like with Hillary and her emails and all that crap. She screwed up. I'm going to let her off the hook. But he didn't realize that when you do that, you're not being benevolent. You are making yourself a victim. You are making yourself vulnerable. You are enabling their demonic behavior. You must take that devil and put your boot on his neck, or it's over. And that's what Trump ended up learning over 4 years of hell from one presidency to the next. But anyway, so Trump's, and then he goes to get these, and I forgot to mention it last night, and then Aaron mentioned it, but we were too far past the Epstein stuff. So then Trump's going after the court records, and who blocks them? So you have all these Democrats going, you know, we want now, suddenly, after all these years. I mean, since 2005, really, not one Democrat ever has called for the Epstein client list or Epstein file. It was called Epstein file, so it just covers everything. And I mean Epstein file from any source, court case New York, court case Florida, anywhere else, or any of the civil cases. Not one of them has ever asked for any measure of the Epstein file, never. But now suddenly they're asking for it. So this is the duplicitous nature of it all, because they don't really want it. They are hoping that there's something. They're hoping that there is a DC Epstein file where Comey and Clapper and Brennan and Obama and Biden wrote in there a bunch of Miss X's, Mrs. Jane Does, say that Donald Trump had sex with them on Epstein Island. That is, which has come out before, by the way, which was totally salacious and totally and absolutely disingenuous lies, and disproven, debunked immediately. But anyway, because Trump's never been to Epstein Island, never diddled an underage kid. But anyway, so all these Democrats suddenly have all of this interest in releasing these Epstein files, not because they want the truth, but because they want the lies in the Epstein file written by the deep state to come out. And by the way, there is an Epstein file, and it's in the CIA, and Ratcliffe needs to get off his butt and go find it. Yeah, it's there. But anyway, it's not in the DOJ. It's in the CIA. It's in the NSA. It's in the intel community. It's not at DOJ. But anyway, so Trump goes after where the real Epstein files are, where there's true victim statements, and one victim statement confirming another victim statement, confirming another victim statements, and the civil lawsuits and the criminal trials against Jeffrey Epstein. And then who blocks it? Aaron, who blocks it?
Jewish judge.
Well, Aaron has to throw the Jewish part in. But no, who actually blocks it is a Democratic judge who happens to be Jewish.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that's the thing. So, I mean, that's what happens. So finally, the Democrats want this, and their own judge blocks it. So that shows you what they really want. They want a DC fraudulent record, not the real record. Not the real record. And Aaron is right, because here's the Jewish connection. Is where did Epstein run in 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9? Where did he run? Does anybody ever read these things? Anybody never know? And I know those of you that are watching a red pill, and you probably already do know. But where was Epstein? Have you ever you listen to exposés on this? But anyway, Epstein, while he had already been convicted, was allowed to fly where? I'm talking about right out of West Palm Beach, Florida. He was already convicted of soliciting an underage minor for sex, for prostitution, which, by the way, is not a misdemeanor. He was already convicted. Now, if you and I were convicted, where would we be? We would be in the jail awaiting conviction, especially for a felony dealing with sex crimes. Now, let's elaborate on this for just a moment. Now, if you were a multi-billionaire who had your own retrofitted 727, he had a fleet of private jets, one of which was a 727. What would you not let him do? You wouldn't let him out of the jail, and you would take away his passport. None of that was done. After he was convicted, he flew to Israel and moved all of his accounts to Israel. And the reason why Aaron brings up the Jewish angle, at least that's why I attribute Aaron putting on the Jewish, giving it the Jewish angle, is because Mossad obviously is working Jeffrey Epstein through this woman right here. And because now, when Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, who recruited Jeffrey Epstein, when he died, does everybody realize that there was never an Israel while Robert Maxwell was a adult for all? Understand what I mean by that. An adult prior to World War II. Robert Maxwell was a World War II hero, by the way. He was. Lived a very interesting life. However, not a good person. He was a spy. He was a spook. Sex trafficking, I don't know if he had any part of that. But anyway, I honestly don't know. But anyway, since he was never a citizen because there was no Israel for him to be a citizen of during the formative years of his life, but all the way up well into his 20s and 30s. There was no Israel until they reformed Israel in 1948. He was well into his adulthood and already fought for years in World War II and all that. Mm-hmm. So he was never a citizen of Israel, never one day in his life, but yet he got a state funeral, and every living prime minister and president in Israel attended his funeral. Mm. And this is a man who died of drowning I can't remember where the location was, but off of his multi-million-dollar yacht. And 3 doctors had 3 different causes of death. Do you know how you know that it's a giant cover-up is when 3 doctors have 3 different causes of death? Because if you drown, because that's what people say is that you drown. If you drowned, it's very definitive that you drowned. And he had when you drown, you don't have baseball bat injuries on yourself like he did. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying baseball bat. He had signs of struggle. I'll put it to you that way. So anyway, and he gets a full state funeral. So anyway, obviously, so you have Jeffrey Epstein fleeing to Israel. He's already convicted, but he's allowed to leave the country. Obviously a heavy duty flight risk, but they don't remove his passport or anything else. And then I'm not going to get into his prosecution and all that. But anyway, so that's the connection to Mossad. So when he found out that he got a life sentence, he came back. If he wouldn't have, Israel does not allow they actually have a organization in Israel that doesn't allow sex offenders to be brought back to the countries where they offended.
Huh.
It's a fact. Pull it up right now on Google. Pull it up. Douglas Murray, Tucker Carlson interview. Pull it up. I just can't remember the name of it. It's fact. And they've had like there's at least 60 American sex offenders over there now, and several of them are reoffended and end up in Israeli prisons. But they will not extradite sex offenders that are Israeli that fled to Israel back to the originating country. It's a fact. Okay, that's why he went there. And this, again, not to overdo the Israel angle, but that's why you don't blindly follow Israel either. Doesn't make you pro-Muslim. I am certainly not. And if I had to choose one, I certainly choose Israel over Muslim countries. I'm just telling you, you don't blindly follow Trump. You don't blindly follow Tom Laipply. You don't blindly follow Foundation Church. You don't blindly follow Israel. You blindly follow the word of God, which is in fact Jesus Christ. John chapter 1, verse 1. John chapter 1, verse 14. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. There are three that bear witness in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Spirit, and these three are one. John 1:1, John 1:14, 1 John 5:7. That's what you blindly follow. You open up your Bible, blindly follow that. Anything else? No. You can love it, but don't blindly follow it. All right, let's go to the next thing, whatever that is. Nick Sorter tweet, I think.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Breaking. President Trump is signing another executive order to force cities to remove, this is awesome, vagrant individuals. He's tying federal support to whether or not your city looks like a dump or not. Vagrant individuals from our streets and restoring order to American cities per White House official. Finally, our streets need to be cleaned up, writes Nick Sortor. Trump is ordering his cabinet officials to prioritize grant funding to cities and states which enforce prohibitions on urban camping and illicit drug use. That's what you do. I haven't been there. It's been 4 years, I think. But I drove into Dallas. I was with Rodney Brown. I was going to see Jonathan Shuttlesworth preach with Rodney Brown in Dallas. And Pastor Rodney was going to speak that night. Flew into Dallas with Pastor Rodney, and I remember just driving down the road. It's with Jonathan's people, and I'm like, wow, whew, look at this freaking city. What a dump. I mean, it's actually, like, structurally, you look at it, it's beautiful, beautiful city. But all the homeless people, absolute dump. Where I was born, Redondo Beach, L.A., Los Angeles, what a dump. I'm not saying Redondo Beach, but L.A., dump. You know how they want federal dollars? Well, you know what? We're going to have some Trump administration officials will drive around the city, see what your homeless encampments look like. Because if you're not going to do anything to clean it up, then no federal dollars for you. And watch Gavin get on his knees. Watch Gavin get on his knees. All right, let's go to the next one. This one here is hysterical. Video of the day, except for my final video with Hulk Hogan proclaiming Christ. That's the video of the day for me. But this is the political video of the day. Watch Jerome Powell. I mean, Trump's magnetic. It's almost hard not to watch him. But watch Jerome Powell this entire time. First of all, he's so intimidated. He's just, thank you, Aaron. Look at this. This is the guy who puts us $37 trillion in debt. I mean, it's politicians too. But right now, we could be etching back our debt by $300 billion every quarter. I can't remember. It's not that I can't remember. I don't know how it works, but Trump's saying that every certain period of time that Jerome Powell does not lower the interest rates costs us $300 billion. So I don't know if that's quarterly. I don't know if it's weekly. I don't know if it's monthly. But anyway, so this is the guy costing all this. Now, they are standing in the middle. So everybody knows what we're talking about. And most of you already do. Most of you already know what we're saying here. They're standing in the middle of the Fed building renovation. Aaron, help me not to talk about this. Is it really 9:44?
Yeah.
Help me not to talk about this for 30 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. But here we are again. They're in the middle of the Fed building renovation that costs $2.6 billion, not to build a building. Now they found out that it's not $2.6 billion. It's actually $3.1 to $3.2 billion.
Whoa.
For a building renovation. And I had Aaron. I didn't even have Aaron. He just did it on his own. Look up for me. And I know this is night 3 of me telling you this, but in case there's people that missed it, you've got to know. You've got to know. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. I mean, have you ever driven by Allegiant Stadium? I mean, it doesn't get any nicer. That's Super Bowl, Aaron, that's when you and I were there 2 years ago, right?
Yep.
Super Bowl 2 years ago, Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada. So, brand new. Cost $2.3 billion to build that building. The Fed renovation is now $3.1 to $3.2 billion to renovate this building. I mean, are they gold plating everything, including coffee cups? What exactly is going on here? Are they gold plating the urinals and the urinal cakes? Well, I mean, what exactly is happening here? Are the urinal cakes that you pee on gold dust that disintegrates and just goes down the toilet? I mean, this is truly astounding to me that a renovation of a building that's private and that you and I are paying for is 3.2. I mean, Aaron, can you explain it to me? How the Fed is private and we pay for their building?
That's weird.
Isn't this the consortium of all the bankers from Jekyll Island, 1913? Same year they built same year they put the FBI in place.
Yep.
FBI and Fed were created the same year, glorious year of 1930. I wish I could go, Marty McFly back in time. Just block everybody from getting onto Jekyll Island. But anyway, post-millennial video, watch Jerome Powell. Trump to Jerome Powell. Play for me.
So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about $3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1,
3.2. This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added our entire capital. Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use, but no, we don't. We expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not under too much danger.
So everyone saw what happened there. So Trump says, you know what? We found out what the true cost of this renovation is. And Jerome Powell goes, that's another building. Yeah, it's the other Fed building. It's all part of the same renovation. This renovation's $2.6 billion. That renovation was $700 million for a building renovation. What in the world could be worth $700 million? What do these people do all day? And then Jerome Powell goes, that was done 5 years ago. It's all part of the renovation. To sit there and act like there's two different things. It's like saying, you build a condominium complex, and then you build a pool complex next to it, and you go, and you delineate the price. You don't delineate the price. You don't delineate the cost. It just all comes in one giant cost. And they were saying that the renovation was $2.6 million. No, it's 2.6 billion. No, it's $3.2 billion. I mean, it was $3.2 billion for a renovation. Allegiant Stadium cost $2.3 billion. What exactly are they doing there? They do nothing but push papers. There's nothing to even do there. You could do that. You could put the Fed in about 10 double wides. If that, this just is the and then Trump asked, "Do you expect any more cost overlays?" Oh no, we're ready for them. Yeah, we're ready. We can print more money. $37 trillion in debt. We'll just print more money. $37 trillion in debt, and the people that have caused I can't even say primary cause. Primary cause are the 535 idiots and 535 idiots in the Senate and the House, and the idiots that have run the Oval Office too. And that includes Trump. It does, because he's put us in a major debt. COVID in this time too. Great big beautiful bill. I hope it turns out the way that he said it, but right now it's a $2.3 trillion deficit spend. We'll see. I hope he's right about the different, because he claims that's not actually true, because OMB says that, you know what? The OMB is leftist, and he says their calculations are not correct, which, by the way, I've seen some counter calculations, and he might be very well right about that. So we'll see. Hopefully Trump has turned the corner. Again, if he deals with the debt, if he lowers the debts and deficits, he's the greatest president in history. If he doesn't, he's the greatest president of my lifetime. That's it. He's got to do something about it. But anyway, in the midst of all of that, all of those debts and deficits, we have a $2.6 billion renovation going on to the federal building that's a private organization. Go to the next one for me. Mario Nawfal tweet. Here's good news. And by the way, that was good news. I mean, you want to talk about, that's what you do. I put on my notes here, brutal, just so I know what the video's talking about. Brutal confrontation. That's the kind of president we need. Right there, just whips out. Aaron laughed when he just breaks out that paper.
Love it.
No, here you go. Just jam. Oh, you're adding in the other renovation. Yeah, since it's all the same contract, we're adding in the other renovation. That would be correct. Since it's all one giant renovation that's gone on for the last 5 years, yeah, we're adding that in, Jerome. And what renovation takes freaking 5 years anyway? Gosh, what are they building? I mean, they're just pouring this in platinum. It's amazing. All right, here we go. More good news. USDA, this is a big deal. All these agencies need to get out of D.C. Whenever we run the Oval, and I hope it's J.D. Vance next, we need to get as many institutions out of that worm-ridden, feces-filled swamp D.C. 98% of the voters are Democrat. Get all the institutions out of there. Trump's doing it. USDA to ditch D.C. 13,000 staff people out of there, headed to the heartland. Isn't that great? Headed to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come. The USDA just announced it's relocating nearly all of its D.C. area employees to 5 new regional hubs and shutting down major sites, including its flagship research center. It does absolutely nothing. You know why they're shutting down the research center? Because it does nothing. I doubt anybody even shows up to work there. 6% of the federal workforce shows up to work every day. I doubt anybody's even at the research center. Only 2,000 staffers will stay behind in D.C. The rest will be in Raleigh, Kansas City, Fort Collins, Salt Lake, and Indy. Secretary Rollins says it's about getting closer to constituents. That's what you do, because you get blinded in D.C. You just get told how great you are, got the lobbyists around you, got the dinners and the cocktail parties, everybody's shining shoes. Next thing you know, you're Nancy Pelosi's drinking buddy in the bar that you and I pay for every day in the well of the house. That's what happens to everybody. I'm going to skip my giant stuff on the collusion thing. I want to do other stuff. All right, go to the next one for me. I'm going to skip that. There you go. Here's what Joe Biden's book costs. He gets $10 million for his memoir. So I'm wondering how much of his memoir is going to be dedicated to the Abbey Gate debacle. I mean, I'm just wondering how he killed 13 American soldiers, because he did. He killed them. I mean, it's him and CENTCOM Commander McKenzie, Lloyd Austin, Mark White Rage Milley, because he's very concerned about white rage, but not having Marines blown in half. He doesn't really care about that. But he does care about white rage. He's white and he wants to understand it. Lloyd Austin, if Lloyd was actually present with his 3 masks and his spit shield on. So I'm just wondering how much of that book is going to be dedicated to deserting Bagram Air Force Base and leaving $86 billion worth of high-tech American military equipment on the ground to make the Afghan, PLA, People's Liberation Army of Afghanistan, become the 26th largest army on the planet in one day. And for us to be the most technologically advanced military on the planet, it took us our entire existence. For them to become the 26th largest army on the planet just before or just after Germany, took them one day because of this guy. I'm just wondering how much of the book is going to cover that. How much are they going to show photos? Remember the horrific photos of 9/11 from people jumping out of the Twin Towers? Those horrible videos? I wonder if they're going to show all the people jumping off the wheels of the C-130s as they flew off. I'm just curious. I mean, are they going to chronicle the very fact that they had 12 hours worth of notice, almost like Benghazi, where you had 13 hours to rescue them and you did nothing? He was sitting there for that too. Imagine that. I mean, do you imagine being the same human being that sat in what they call the situation room? Because they all think that they're above everybody. It's the situation room. We're allowed in the situation room, and you're not because you're a smelly Walmart person. We're the Washington elite. We don't qualify as elite in any way, shape, or form. Look at the condition of the country, but we're still going to call ourselves that anyway. Like I was talking about at the beginning of the show, calling yourself something where there's no evidence whatsoever that you are that. But you're in the same situation room that left our soldiers and our personnel on the roof in Benghazi at the embassy. You have like Chris Paranto sitting there defending them. You basically had to have military men mutiny to go there and defend the people that were left to defend. More people died. So they sat there for 13 hours. And Hillary Clinton says, while Joe Biden has his fat, worthless self sitting right next to her, she says, well, you know what? We didn't know. There was no time for us to get there. How would you ever have known that during the entire time? And you're telling me you can't get there in 13 hours? We have assets everywhere. Everywhere. This is not in the middle of nowhere. This is in North Africa. We have assets everywhere. So they purposely killed those people because they were covering up malfeasance there that I don't have time to get into right now. But anyway, so that you're in that situation room, and then you get 12 hours worth of notice that a Unabomber is on his way to the Abbey Gate at the Hamid Karzai Airport, which, side note, the Taliban offered to us. They said, you know what? We'll even secure it. Nobody gets in but you. And this idiot turns it down. So it would have been a perimeter of miles where nobody could get in, secured by our adversary so nobody could get in, and our Marines on side, as nobody's getting past that. Nobody gets in, and they turn it down. And then they get 12 hours worth of notice that a Unabomber's on his way, and then they get notice that a sniper has him in his sights and never give him the go, and then he blows up a bunch of people, kills 13 of our heroes and 100 other people. Does anybody care? And I'm just talking about who he killed. There's other people too that are grievously wounded that will live with that the rest of their lives. And you get $10 million for that? See, these are the payoffs. People are always like, it's for the money, it's for the money. It's correct, but you're never going to see them get a check written to them. It's always backdoored. I'll bet you right freaking now that there's this NGO money behind this. Who on earth would reach into their figurative wallet and write this? Look at that idiot's face. And write him a check for $10 million for his worthless memoirs. Go to the next one for me. Got to show you this one because it's fun. Walter Kurt video. New Senator Shifty Schiff's residency fraud is about to blow wide open. 2-minute video. Play it for me.
Well, the credit for this really has to go to, there's a congresswoman that's running for Congress, Christine Bish, over in California, and she sent me a file. She said, I need you to look at this. And this is all of the mortgage documents for Adam Schiff, going back to 2003 when he first sold his home in California. He essentially hasn't claimed residence in California since 2003. I mean, really, he's been a resident of Maryland for this whole time. So, I went through the documents, and, the most recent one, which is what I got him on, which is the 2020, within a month of each other, he signs primary residence in 2 different locations in 2 different states at the same time. You can't do that. So he's claiming primary residence in both California and in Maryland at the same time. But the bigger question, which I'm still working on, this is the rest of the documents that I'll be releasing, is that during the times that he was running for House and Senate, he wasn't a resident of California. I mean, that's a good question. So he's not even a resident of California, and he's a representative of California. And, but the worst part about this is for him, he can't claim ignorance. He got an ethics complaint in 2009 for this. he's been doing this flip his residence wherever it suits him since 2009, or at least before, possibly before that. So he can't claim ignorance. This to me looks like he is intently doing this. And the Maryland house he considered his primary residence for 17 years up until he refinanced his place in California in 2020. So, I don't see how he doesn't have some serious problems here.
Does everybody realize, and I know that everybody watching this podcast does, that he has to resign? He doesn't even qualify to hold the office that he holds. I mean, and again, Aaron or Will, if I miss an angle on this, just chime in. Now, let's just break this down for just a moment, then I'm going to do the fire stuff. Let's break it down. So first of all, he's been a resident of the state of Maryland. It's before, I think as far back as 2003. But he hedges back to like 9. All right, so we'll just go now. Let's go 16 years. He has been a resident, a legal resident, exclusively of the state of Maryland since 2009. And then he has refined, I believe, his condo in California, where he also claims residency there. Everybody does realize that you are not allowed to have dual residency. Everybody, you can have dual citizenship, but you can't have dual residency.
Right.
Because that has to do with voting. And why does he do that? Because this multi-millionaire wants to save a few bucks on a mortgage. Don't you hate cheap people? I mean, there is no more disgusting attribute, because the person who's cheap believes that it's an attribute,
right,
than cheapness. And you're a millionaire. You're certainly not suffering for money. And you want to save a few bucks on a mortgage. So instead of claiming your primary residency in California and your second residency in Maryland, you claim both of them as your primary residency. And the majority of the time, his primary residency was exclusively Maryland, which disqualifies his latest election as the senator out of Maryland and California. So he doesn't even qualify. He should have to resign. And by the way, that actually needs to be looked into by the DOJ, which, by the way, it is. He needs to be hung up by his bootstraps. Needs to go to federal prison. He really does. He doesn't even qualify to be the senator out of the state of California. And then when he finally does decide that he wants to claim California, it's only when he refinances his mortgage in California, which he does 4 times in 5 years. Who does that? And by the way, he has a little like cheapo condo in California, but he has a multi-million-dollar complex mansion. How do these people afford these mansions? But anyway, in Maryland. So what's his primary residence? He has like a condo in California, but a ranch in Maryland. So this just shows you how absolutely corrupt these people are. Speaking of corrupt, let's go back to his state, the most corrupt state ever to exist. All right, let's go. MJ Truth Ultra video. This is Jesse Waters talking. The concert to raise, many of you have seen this already, but just in case you didn't, you got to see it. It's unbelievable. And I got the stats here. It's unreal. The concert to raise money for LA Fire's concert to raise money to rebuild the Pacific Palisades. How much did that raise? I mean, I never thought this. I mean, I figured 5 million, 6 million, 100 million. One concert raised $100 million. Now, I'm going to give this to Will. Well, you answer however you think it's correct. Out of the $100 million that was raised in one concert for the 12,000 homes that are burnt to the ground, that many are now homeless people are living on, how much of that money went to the victims?
70 million.
70 million, Will says. Okay. No, 0. See, Will's sweet. See, Will's a much sweeter person than me. $0. Here's Jesse Waters. Play it for me.
It's been 6 months since wildfires burnt L.A. to a crisp. Some parts of the city are still piles of ash. Residents say they went months without seeing any trucks, crews, or supplies. Entire lots are sitting empty, and squatters are moving in.
Squatters are overtaking vacant lots that burned down, like this one right behind me here. This guy set up a whole campsite and I guess actually went down to the DMV
listed this as his address on his driver's license, and the property owner can't get them off.
How's this even possible? Just a couple of months ago, Hollywood put together a star-studded telethon to raise money and rebuild. All the stars came out.
Fire aid held at the Intuit Dome and Kia Forum included Lady Gaga, Stevie Wonder, Rod Stewart, Pink, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Earth, Wind & Fire. Those not in attendance could donate throughout the concert at fireaidla.org. 100% of the proceeds go to fire relief and prevention.
100% of the proceeds go to fire relief and prevention, they said. Well, that concert raised over $100 million. So $100 million should be going to fire relief and prevention, right? But the victims say they haven't seen a penny. One of them called Fire Aid and asked, what happened?
I said, you know, victims want to know when they can get their money. Seems like a very simple question. Mm-hmm. He said, basically, they don't. All this money are going to nonprofits, and then nonprofits will take care of making sure the money's distributed. I would urge everyone to just go to the nonprofits that are listed if you want a good laugh. I mean, one of the nonprofits cleans preschool bathrooms. Well, after the fire, who knows? Maybe there is a preschool bathroom that needs cleaning. This fire aid money is not helping the people. It's helping nonprofits, many of them who have executives that are getting a six-figure salary.
Primetime followed the money, and she's right. A lot of the grants went to a laundry list of left-wing nonprofits, like the California Native Vote Project. What do? Empower Native Americans to participate in the democratic process. Fire Aid claims that group was chosen to help Native American families who were displaced by the fires. But the Pacific Palisades only has 16 Native American residents. The Pasadena NAACP also got money. What does the NAACP have to do with wildfire relief and prevention? Well, they said it was to create spaces where individuals can unite, share resources, and work collectively toward recovery. Okay, what does that mean? I don't know what create spaces means. They also sent cash to musicians. $3.3 million went to the Sweet Relief Musicians Fund, the Music Health Alliance, Music Industry Mental Health Fund, and the Black Music Action Coalition. It wasn't just musicians. Podcasters got paid too. The Alteneda Talks Foundation got thousands to report on critical information for fire victims that looked like this.
Me and Lena Kennedy are going to meet with them. Pastor Angel may or may not. And then I also have a meeting tomorrow at 12 with After the Fires USA, who also contacted me.
Wow. That podcast got 7 views, 7. And one of them was a primetime producer. We asked all the musicians, podcasters, and NAACP leaders how they spent the money, and we still haven't heard back. Out of the $75 million distributed, only $1 million went to the LA Fire Department Foundation. $0 went directly to the victims. Fire Aid says this was all by design. Quote, Fire Aid does not have the capability to make direct payments to individuals, and that was never the plan. We've partnered directly with trusted local nonprofits. Each dollar was intended for the community. So this was the plan all along. Collect the money, feed it into a liberal nonprofit machine, and just hope for the best. Sound familiar? This is like LA USAID. Elon, I hope you're watching.
Now, don't worry. I'm not about to take an offering, but I have to steal something Aaron was talking about with this. This is why the church needs to be rich. And you're like, oh, the church has been corrupt. I'm not talking about the altar boy diddlers in the Catholic Church. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real churches, and there aren't a whole lot of them. There really aren't a whole lot of them. But this is why the church needs to be rich. You're like, well, the church is corrupt too. Not to that level. No matter what, you're better off giving it to a church than that. Over $100 million was given. Remember now, what was the advertisements for this concert? Exclusively for the victims. None went to the victims. $1 million was given to a firefighter fund, which again was probably an NGO. That's it. Not $1. Now here's the stats out of this thing. The concert to raise would raised money for LA fire victims, raised $100 million, $0 went directly to the victims. Now remember, we're 6 months in. Hey, Aaron, can you pull up all the stats out of Lahaina, all the new homes that have been built since then?
Let me see. Hang on.
Go ahead. It's got to be 10, 15, 20, 30,
Zero.
40. Zero. Okay,
Zero,
good.
yeah.
Okay, so run the stats for how many new homes have been built in Pacific Palisades.
Oh,
1,
okay.
2, 20, 30,
Zero.
60. Okay, zero.
Yeah,
Okay,
zero.
good. Everybody see this?
Oh, they're not allowed on their land.
They're
either.
also not allowed on your land. But,
Yeah.
the homeless people are.
Right.
And then when you try to get them off, the city won't kick them off.
Right.
Because you're not allowed to get rid of squatters.
Squatters' rights.
Squatters' rights. You can't. I'm gonna throw the microphone. Listen, you yourself can't go squat there.
Right.
You can't squat on your own land. This is Gavin Newsom. This is Karen Bass. You can't squat on your own land. But some homeless guy can. You'll be arrested for squatting on your own land, but you can't have him removed. That's California. If you want to be governed by Democrats, and then all the Christians in 2020, in March of 2020, listened to these galactic, idiotic buffoons and put masks on their face and stood 6 feet apart and closed their churches upon the command of Gavin Newsom. The person running this, where I miss cussing, poop show.
Yeah.
23 days after the fire started, the Fire Aid benefit concert collected $100 million. 23 days. So still 6 months ago. Fire Aid. That sounds good, doesn't it? It's like Farm Aid. I wonder how much ever went from Farm Aid either to the farmers. You know, I remember, what was the one for this way before Will or Aaron's time, but what was the one to feed the hungry? We are the world. We are the people.
Yeah.
What was that? Live Aid. Was it Live Aid? Mm-hmm. Live Aid. I can't believe you remember that one. But I wonder how much actually went there. Remember how we all thought it did? I'll bet you all the people that were supposed to receive that money are looking at people like me going, we are the world. And I'm going, oh, yeah, I've got a tear run down my eye. And they're going, you're an idiot. That's what they're probably saying about me then, just like I'm saying about the majority of people now. All right, so Fire Aid said, so Pink said, 100% of the proceeds will go towards fire relief and prevention. Fire relief and prevention. Great. I don't think any of it should go to prevention. That's just simply the government should be able to prevent forest fires. Not exactly. How hard is it to prevent a fire? Not very hard. But anyway, so just some of the names here. So Fire Aid made up of Billy Crystal, Quentin Bronson, Alanis Morissette, Anderson .Paak, Billie Eilish, Billy Armstrong from Green Day. So righteous. They're so holy. Love the slaughter of the unborn. Oh, the total amount raised for Live Aid was $140 million.
Yeah.
So $139 million was supposed to go to the victims because they gave $100 million to fire departments. And, you know, David Grohl from Nirvana, Dave Matthews, Dawes, I don't even know who half these people are, Dr. Dre, they all said that $139 million goes straight to the victims. Remember, you had the victim call on the phone. Hey, where's our money? None are ever going to receive it. Fire Aid said, though, 100% of the $139 million was going to go to them. 6 months later, not one house has been rebuilt. Nothing's been done. None of it went directly to victims. Where did all the money go? It all went to what Tom Laipply says it all goes to.
Yep.
NGOs. So Democrats running NGOs get six-figure salaries. Again, they will receive, let's just say, $5 million. They will dispense $10,000 of that $5 million. So $4,990,000 goes to them. And the $10,000 that did go went to a consultancy fee to another Democrat.
Right.
You think I'm being hyperbolic right now? You do not understand the world, because that's why we're $37 trillion in debt.
Yep.
Not one house. Nothing's been done. A lot of them have never. A lot of these lots. That's great. You can always throw that in. A lot of the lots are just still sitting there that haven't been cleared.
Yeah.
Because you're not allowed to do that either. Now, a homeless guy can go clear it and steal all your stuff. That's no problem. But you yourself can't do it. That's what it means to be governed by a Democrat. So anyway, where did all the money go? It all went to nonprofits. What kind of nonprofits? You can bring it back to me. What kind of nonprofits? A nonprofit that cleans preschool bathrooms. That's one of them. The California Native Vote Project, which put on there that What was that, Aaron? The stolen land?
There are no illegals on
There are
stolen
no
land.
illegals on stolen land. That's where the fire aid money went.
Sweet.
I mean, did this burn down a bunch of Indian teepees? The fire money goes to the Pasadena NAACP.
Yeah. Yep.
So the fire money is going for the advancement of colored people. That's what NAACP stands for. But don't worry. They also sent $3.3 million to musicians.
Oh.
In the Sweet Relief Musicians Fund and the Music Health Alliance and the Black Music Action Coalition.
Oh.
Podcasters also got paid too. One of the podcasters only had 7 views. $1 million went to the LA Fire Department Foundation. The rest of them is spread out over NGOs, and not one single home has been built. That's the world that we live in. Let's see who else was there. Earth, Wind, and Fire was there. Phineas O'Connell was there. Flea was there. Grace Abrams was there. Graham Nash was there. Green Day was there. Gwen Stefani was there. Jelly Roll was there. Joan Jett was there. John Fogerty. Why? Will brought this up. Why is nobody asking? Why is John Fogerty not asking about this? You know, I mean, fortunate one. Why aren't you asking, John? I mean, I'm curious. I really don't know the answer to that. I guess you'll be excommunicated from the liberal movement, but does the liberal movement mean stealing $139 million through fraud for fire victims? I'm just curious. Joni Mitchell, Katy Perry, Kim Gordon. Again, I don't know who half these people are. Chris Novoselic from Nirvana. Lady Gaga, the Eagles, U2, Little Baby, Mike Campbell, Violet Grohl, No Doubt, the Black Crowes, Olivia Rodrigo, Taylor Goldsmith, Tate McRae, Pink, Peso Pluma, Sting, Stevie Wonder, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rod Stewart, Stevie Nicks, Sheila E., Stephen Stills, St. Vincent, and Slash. I'm just, we're just curious. Where's the outrage? Yes, there's none. All right, 10-16. That's good. All right, Rumble Rants tonight. Charlie 340, $100. Thank you so much, Charlie 340. Another big one also from Nate Dad 1, $50. Thank you guys so much in the rant. Appreciate you. Really do appreciate you. Everybody in the chat, love you guys. Appreciate each and every one that's on here. Back here tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Stick around for our post game, which is dedicated. This is all kind of an homage to Hulk Hogan. Rest in peace. Great man. Love that guy. It really, really, really hurt to see that he passed away today. Sad deal, right? Just north of us, about an hour north of us where we're sitting right now. But anyway, love you guys. See you tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. God bless you. The word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit and of the joints and marrows, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Read the Bible. Know the Bible. You'll be shocked by what it says and how antithetical the Bible is to the modern church. I don't come up here living in sin, as I don't want to be struck by lightning. I'm scared of God. That makes him a great dad.
Fear shows up in all of us, in the waiting, in the change, and the unknown. But we weren't created to live afraid. Join us August 21st through the 23rd for the Beloved Ladies Conference. Fearless. It's time to face what's been holding you back and walk out free.
Thanks for watching the Tom Laipply podcast. We appreciate your support. As a special thank you, when you donate $25 or more, you will get a free TLP koozie. Enjoy your favorite cold drink while tuning in to our latest takes on current events. Your support keeps us going. Donate now to claim yours.
When they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough. And I said, Let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Let me tell you something, brother. When you walk in this beat shop, I'm surprised that you still got the shirt on, Jack.
Well, let me tell you something, Hulkster. The first time I met you, I was only 3 years old, but now I'm 6 years old. So now we gotta take it to a bigger level, man. Just like when you press that no good stinking giant over your head and send them right through the table in front of 93,000 Hulkamaniacs. So what are they gonna do when the power of the Hulkster and the roaster and the dual 24-inch pythons run wild on you? I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
The only thing that is really real is the stuff that's going to last forever. You know, your faith and your belief in God, and knowing that, you know, once you're a Christian, you've accepted Christ as your Savior. You know, you're not going to perish, but you're going to have everlasting life. That belief in itself and that faith is what's pretty much the only thing that's real to me.